Okay, now we got the 88 participants now. So probably I think it's good enough number. We can get started. So let me say very good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Hope everyone can hear me clear and loud. This is a greeting from Nigeria. Thank you for attending KOICA Alumni Multi-Country Knowledge Sharing webinar today. So please make sure put your mic on mute, please. Thank you. So I do like to welcome all of you from Nigeria and Senegal and Pakistan and Cameroon. So my name is Min-jae Kang. I'm the Deputy Country Director of the KOICA Nigeria office. It's my great pleasure and honor to host this event. Also welcome all of you here today. Thank you. So I would like to begin with a short and brief introduction on today's webinar. So the main purpose of this webinar is to share our KOICA alumni's knowledge and experience and also insight of their study in Korea with a particular focus on digital sector. So in today's webinar, the full session will be delivered by our KOICA alumni members who have kindly agreed to share their knowledge and experience and also devoted so much time and effort to this webinar. So those speakers who I believe, I'm sure they will give us a brilliant and interesting presentation. So after the presentation, all the sessions, also we're going to watch a short video clip about World Expo 2030 Busan. So let me give you a little bit of background. So in 2021, South Korea submitted a bid to host the World Expo 2030 in Busan. So under the theme of the transforming our world and navigating towards a better future. So after watching that video clip, I hope all of you will be the champion to support South Korea in this bidding for World Expo 2030 in Busan. And I believe this is the first ever KOICA Alumni Multi-Country Knowledge Sharing webinar. So I can't wait to see our very first session. But before the first session starts, I also want to invite the Mr. Rabiu Saidu Kura, the president of the Nigeria Alumni Association Nigeria, for the opening remarks. So the floor is yours, Mr. Rabiu. Over to you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Oh. Yeah, morning. My name is once again Rabiu SK Adamu. I'm the president South Korea International Cooperation Association in Nigeria. I'm happy to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, maybe good night. No, I might not say good night, but just greetings to everyone. I know people are connecting from Cameroon, Pakistan, Senegal, and being hosted by the KOICA Nigeria office. So greetings to you all. I'm happy to welcome you all to the KOICA Multi-Country Knowledge Sharing online event happening today. And today, I'm sure Mr. Chris Odu is going to make a presentation on the key outcomes of his study and the digital sector. And I'm sure all of you will be enlightened and you enjoy it. I want to also assure you that this webinar series, like the host has already said, is the first. I think so many people that have joined, we're able to share this link to so many other people, even those who are not even part of us, because we are given that right that we should do it so that a lot of people can partake in it. So I implore you to feel free to send whatever messages you have in the chat box, and also implore you to sit down and enjoy the ride. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the wonderful opening remarks, Mr. Rabiu. And just before we started, could you kindly also put your full name? Thank you very much. And without further ado, let me invite our first presenter from Senegal, Ms. Afia Dia, who will give us a presentation on the political digitalization in Senegalese sector for education. Over to you, Ms.Fama.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon to all of you. I am a KOICA Alumni 2019. I was studying at Iwa Women's University, where I got my master's degree in development cooperation. And currently I'm an agent in the direction of human resources in the Ministry of National Education in Senegal. About my presentation today, I'm going to talk about political digitalization in the Senegalese education sector. Why this topic? Because I have noticed that in the recent years, Senegal has, hello. I have noticed in these recent past years that Senegal has done a lot of efforts regarding digitalization and time allocation reduction for those teachers who was moving from the rural to urban area, which should take a long hours for them and leaving classes without teachers. And the former Minister of Education, Sir Sering Baicham, did a lot of efforts regarding that, that aspect also. My presentation of today is going to be done on this way. I will talk in the first part of an overview of Senegalese education system, the initiatives of digitalization in the education sector, the objective why digitalization in the education sector is strategies, and I'm going to talk about also resources, different application that has been implemented by the Ministry of Education, and finish with the impact and result of digitalization in the education sector of Senegal. I'm going to start with the overview. The Senegalese education system is based on its French equivalents. I think the state is responsible for the creation of the education system that enable every citizen to access of education. That was amended in the article of 21 and 22 of the Constitution, which was adopted in January 21, guarantee the access for all children. However, due to limited resources and low demand of secular education in access where Islamic education is prevalent. I think many people know that religious has power in Senegal. In some places like Touba, I think the government cannot handle everything, and the Ministry of Education has to support the way and belief of the citizens living on those areas too. The current Minister of Education, who you see here, the picture, this guy's name is Mamadou Talla. He is the current Minister of Education. The total literacy rate of Senegal's is 57.7% of male and 69.7% of female and 46.6% of females. The education system is composed of kindergarten. We have the kindergarten, the primary education. We have junior, secondary, lower junior, and secondary, which is 4 years of education. The kindergarten is 3 years of education, and the junior school, which is lower secondary, some call it like lower secondary, which is 4 years of education. The initiative taken by the Ministry of Education, knowing the need of the 21st century, knowing the need of the 21st century, the former Minister of Education, who is the former Minister of Education, who is the current Ministry of Water and Sanitation, Sir Sering Baicham took an important initiative by creating direction under the name of CIMEN, direction of the system of management and information of the Ministry of Education, which is in charge of digitalization and creation of application that will help the Ministry of Education to tackle its policies. I think each direction has created has its own application, which was created by SIMEN, the System of Management of the Ministry of Education, who is in charge of implementing the policy of ICT in the Ministry of National Education. This initiative also implements application and is aligned with the needs of the direction and the ministries of education. I think what I was explaining is here. Here is the implementation of the different applications that we have in the Ministry of Education. Like this one, Mirador is an application which was the application of the Direction of Human Resources, which help the Direction of Human Resources to implement in its policies regarding human resources and the teachers in Senegal also. We have Stat Edict. Stat Edict is an application of the Direction of Reform of the education system in Senegal, which is in charge of giving statistics of the Ministry of Education regarding gender and the rate of success of students in its level of education from primary to secondary education sector. We have also another application which is FinPronet. This application also is the application which is in charge of paying salary of non-civil servant, contractuals, teachers. This application also help the government of Senegal to reduce what we call on those people who, for example, die and not to pay the salary of those people who is not teaching also. We have oh, sorry, I was moving to next slide. Yeah, I was explaining about this application, which is Mirador. This is an app of the Direction of Human Resources of the Ministry of National Education. This application reform the system and bring positive aspects, which are posting teachers in school by completing the gap also. Sometimes we notice that also the Senegalese education system in remote, for example, area, you can see a village where we have a lot of teachers and another place also where we have low teachers. Through this application, it can help the direction to know where the gap is and to send teachers in those areas also. It also manages human resources with visibility and access by all the education community. It participates in giving positives and information and allocation of the gap in the Senegalese education system. Yeah. We have the application of Stat Edic also. Knowing the importance of statistics in policy elaboration, the former minister also initiated this application, Stat Edic, which is an application which is in charge of giving statistics regarding gender gaps in school. And if you consult also this application, the data, the ways that the data is done is very good, I can say, because the data is, you can notice that the data proposed by this application is done through sex disaggregated data. It can also give information regarding the rate of success of boys and girls from primary to secondary education level. The application is used by the Direction of Planification and Reforms of the Senegalese education system. It allows to have statistics regarding gender gap, schools, students, etc. We have the application of the direction which is in charge of paying salaries in the Ministry of Education, which is also FinPronet. Managing, we all know that managing salary needs transparency. which would help the government to have more money to elaborate other needs of the country and save more money regarding teachers who abandon. Also through this application, we can stop the salary immediately. It also helped to pay the salary of non-civil servant, as I told you a while ago. Here we have different sectors who is in charge of salary. Non-civil servants' salary is paid by the Ministry of Economy and Finance under the direction of salary, which is direction of SALT in Senegal. And this application is especially for non-civil servant. It means that teachers who has just start teaching. We have another application also here. We have the application of green. Green application give real information. Green application also is another application which is used in the direction of human resources. It helps us to have the real information of the different agents. If I say different agents, it means those teachers who is teaching in the other cities in Senegal. Working for the system, the number of time allocation. This application also help us to know if this teacher is fully employed in his school or her school. Because sometimes, as I told you, you can see that those teachers have more hours than other teachers, and time allocation also is very important for the system. Because it helps us to fully employ it and with equity, using equity also through time allocation for teachers. We have SendPronet. We all know that the COVID-19 pandemic has shown us that students no longer need the presence of teachers in classrooms. Sometimes you should or you can initiate like Google Classes or Zoom meeting to share knowledge to students and help them also to use the 21st century skills regarding ICT. We initiated SendProf, which is an application. SendProf is Senegal teachers. The translation is Senegal teachers. If you just get in SendProf, which is an application that is very important for the Senegalese education system, because it helps students to do their assignment or to ask questions to teachers in Senegal, or to do their assignment on time also. This application is very important because even except teachers also, students' parents can check a lesson there and to see whether this lesson, the way that this lesson was designed is good or not, or to ask a question also to those teachers who are connecting on this application. The teacher who is online can answer to the question or help students also to do their assignment on time. In a nutshell, here is the application that the Ministry of National Education Senegal has done in order to help students in the 21st century. The impact and the result of digitalization. Through the digitalization and the application that Senegal has done, we have the impact is reduce the time allocation for travelers. In the past, if a teacher is posted in a remote area of the capital city, we noticed that those people used to take cars or to travel to come. Now, through this application, they can send their document and people can help them to do it I can say in hours to help them. And we have good management of human resources also. The application has helped the government to manage well the human resources of the Ministry of National Education. We have also respecting the quality of education. Through this application, the ministry has transparency, and the application also inspire equity in the system. Thank you very much for listening, and your questions and remarks are all welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation, Ms.Fama, dear. Thank you. So in the interest of time, let's quickly move on to the next session. The next presenter is Mr. Shafiq Rehman from Pakistan. I will make a presentation on the post-evaluation analysis of the master degree in ICT Techno policy under KOICA Scholarship Program and how governance can be improved by using ICT techniques on the pattern of South Korea with a case study from Pakistan. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Hello, my name is Shafiq Rehman. I'm from Pakistan. My screen, you can see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay. Today I'm going to discuss about the topic post-evaluation and analysis of master degree in ICT Techno policy under KOICA Scholarship Program. And mainly I will focus on how we can improve the governance by using ICT technique on the pattern of South Korea. This is just my short introduction. I'm right now director in Government of Pakistan in one of the Ministry of Planning and Development. I did master degree from Songchul University and I also did master degree in business administration from Pakistan, a master of business administration in HR, and masters of commerce from Pakistan. If you talk about the background, working background, I'm right now working as a director admin in Senegal Development Authority, and in the past I did a job as a deputy director, executive district officer, and planning officer, and relationship manager in banking sector. The sequence of my presentation is like this introduction. I will say something about the scholarship program, how I spent the life in Korea, and success story, achievements, and something about Korea. I studied master degree from in ICT Techno policy. This was 18-month duration time period. The university name was Songchul University, and the school name was Graduate School of Information Science. And I did this degree in Seoul. We studied a lot of subjects in this master degree program related to IT, which mainly involved a digital transformation, which includes big data, cloud computing. We also did Amazon certification. We studied about the fourth industrial revolution and electronic government, digital transformation, research methodology. We also use some software like SPSS and EMOS. And we also study subjects related to ICT policy, analysis, evaluation, technology, and management. We study some programming language like R programming, Python. We studied subjects related to artificial intelligence. We have already studied some attended some additional lectures, also paid some visit to government and private departments, and I have also submitted my thesis, and I did internship for 2 months in MSDSTI. It was really a great experience in Korea. This is just a scholarship procedure, how we move from Pakistan to Korea, like from different ministry to how to make a study plan is basically the idea is you have to think globally, but you have to act locally. And I just consulted with my professor, with my course mate, and I have completed that program. KOICA, the role of KOICA was very good, and I really appreciate, because it was a COVID time when we went to Korea, and it was really a success story, because in the start we think we will not go to Korea because of COVID restrictions, but finally we did it and we came back to our countries. I completed my master degree from Songchel University. So Songchel University is pioneer in ICT. So, the staff is really experienced and very polite, and the Songchel University is a leader in IT and artificial intelligence, and it is equipped with a lot of facilities. This is the picture when I arrived in Incheon Airport with my one of friend classmate from Ghana. We visited some because I belong to a Muslim country. I invited all the professor, my classmates, to come at the Muslim restaurant and for eating. I visited so many tourist places in Busan, and I want to say something about the life in Korea is very amazing. It's just Korea. Seoul is the capital of Korea with 10 million population. Busan, I visited a lot of time in Busan, and Busan has a fifth largest port, and in Korea the security is amazing. I think so. It's almost a zero crime rate in Korea. Medical insurance is very good, and traveling is amazing. Traveling space is really amazing. What I found in Korea, I studied about the history of Korean War, how they shifted from agriculture economy to industrialization, and they just in a short span of 30 years they converted they raised the standard of living of ordinary people from like to a best level in just a short span of time. That's amazing. And I learned about the globalization because it's different. They have a different culture, but they are very nice people. Korea is the best place for innovation, and natural beauty is amazing. The mountains, the beach, the forest, and I also studied about the way Korea reached this level of development. This is really interesting to learn. And if you talk about the technology, Samsung, Hyundai, Kia, they are amazing. And this slide just shows the Korea is the #1 country in 2018 on Bloomberg's the most innovative place in the world. I talk about the food, the kimchi, the best food. I also like this in Korea. Though I'm a Muslim, but mostly people like this suju. The Korean barbecue is amazing. I really tried and enjoyed these places. Even I reduced almost 30 kg weight in Korea. The culture, the K-pop culture is amazing. And this is some pictures in the class with my classmates. We participated in some games. This is different pictures in the Korea. The introduction. I mostly we visited so many places with our professors. These pictures are from different places. We did cycling, hiking, and we participated in different activities. We have some barriers, some problems because in Korea mostly people speak in Korean language. We have some kind of problems in class and in the city. To mostly people hesitate to speak English, but it's just I think so hesitation. Halal food was also a big problem, and work is very good to work with the Korean people because I did start training for 2 months, and very people are very respectable. It was the biggest challenge for us. It was a COVID time, so we have to stay in our rooms. We cannot go outside. It was very difficult, but it was very challenging and very enjoyable. If we say something about the ICT ranking data, the Pakistan, I belong to Pakistan. The Pakistan EGDI index in 2020 is one at 153, e-government development index, and but the South Korea is at #1. Network readiness index, the Pakistan is at 11, it is at 111, and the Korea is at #2. E-participation index, the Pakistan is 103, but the South Korea is 1. South Korea is actually leading in the world in ICT. this is a table showing the is a figure of latest figure of 2022. Is the World Bank doing business ranking. The Korea is at 4 at ease of doing business, and at this starting of business is at 9, and getting electricity is the 2, but the Korea is a little bit hard at getting credit. It's a 55. That's also good for financial point of view. And the next is I beside the education, I visited a lot of Korean businessmen, their places, and I also my government also gave me a job to do to raise to make some relation with Pakistani business community, to the Pakistan and Korean people, to the Korean man. And I arranged some visit to Pakistan of my different people. Mr. Kim and he also visited Pakistan. They are interested to start business in energy sector, in IT sector, and they have a meeting. They are doing meeting with our government officials. And I stayed also with the Korean family, and I visited Busan, Incheon, Hwangdo, Jeju Island, and some historical places. I did cycling, fitness activities, jogging, cricket, badminton, hiking, fishing, and because I have almost more than 15 years experience, and I never cooked in my home, but in Korea I have to do by myself. It's a very healthy activity. I want to tell you about some concept related to ICT, the digital twin. It uses a real world data to create simulation that can predict how a product or process can perform. Mostly in health or education sector, this health and manufacturing sector, this concept is playing a great role. Artificial nobody can deny the importance of artificial intelligence, just like robotics. In new world, it's really a good blessing for the people. IoT, the sensor technologies is getting famous in Pakistan. We have a lot of scope in this area. Big data and deep learning, mostly the new emerging trends and digital transformations, they are taking the basic concept from the deep learning and big data. We have visited some institute like MSTI Data Science Technology. Is 20 years. They have like 20 years. They were established in 2001. Now they have 19 employees, 230 customers. The revenue is very big. It's 23 billion, and they have a business in 24 countries. And I visited also an NSP, and I visited some different business places and also some government departments. What was my thesis topic in my study? I selected a topic, the factors affecting the efficiency and quality of e-government services in Pakistan. This was basically how can we improve the governance, and how by using IC technique, and where I have to identify the factors which help to improve the quality and efficiency of e-government services. Actually, why I selected this topic, because in this advanced area, people wants to live in an advanced place where they have a lot of facilities. The government now has to improve this service delivery, and it is not possible with the help of ITA. And e-government is actually similar to e-commerce, and it was born out of and emerged from the internet boom. Due to a rapid growth in ICT is right now is helping Pakistan a lot, but we have to focus on e-government system. We don't have a proper e-government system, and my selection of this course was also to study the Korean e-government system. That's why I selected this place, because if we adopt this system, we can increase the service, we can improve the quality, we can reduce the cost, and we can also decrease the corruption. I selected 4 variables, which includes information quality, system technical quality, service quality, facilitated condition, perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and intention to use. And my research objective was to develop a government indicator in e-service delivery for the government of Punjab, and it was basically to develop a structure for assessing the quality of the government services. My thesis consists of some 3 models. One was ISXS model, technology, time, and youth out. This was basically the model of my research. And I made almost 10 hypotheses, out of which only 3 were rejected, which was perceived ease of use to system technical quality and perceived usefulness to system technical quality. And 9 number is intention to use to perceive ease of use. But overall, it was all was accepted, and I collected data from Pakistan, and I did it in almost 6 months. When I came back to Pakistan, with the help of my professor and my some government official in Pakistan, I submitted 2 proposals. One is I submitted establishment of e-facilitation center by using the pattern of South Korea to bring innovation, change, and sustainability. And the other, what I did is related to improving the drinking water, the quality of, to improve the quality of drinking water through using IC techniques. And other proposal which are in pipeline is incubation center, e-registrant center, e-filing in offices. And these projects are under the consideration, but due to financial constraint, maybe we have to select only 2 projects for further process. And hopefully I will take guidance and help from my professor and even from KOICA for these projects. This is just how key to success, ready to enter. This is just how I continued my life as school life in Korea. It was really a great experience in Korea. Moving to Korea was really challenging due to COVID and some family issues, and lifestyle was really because in Pakistan we mostly have some servant in our houses, but in Korea it's a very different culture, but it's very healthy. And I really know some professionalism from the Korean people, learn a lot from different Korean culture. I'm really interested to do PhD in ICT from Korea, and I'm ready to apply in KAIST this year, and hopefully I will get admission. And I really like Korean culture because it's very good. Lesson learned is just hard. Korean people are really hardworking. They are very sincere and committed. Travel to Korea, I want to say the world is a book, and those who don't travel just read only a page. This was the picture of the graduation ceremony. Thank you so much. Hello.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mr. Shafiq. That was quite interesting to me.
If you want to ask any question, I'm available.
I believe that we are a bit behind schedule, but also the participant feel free to write down any questions so that you can also respond on the chat. So we can move on to the next session. So I've seen some of question actually put on the chat. So you can also check it, some compliment and lots of comment for not only your presentation, also, but for the first speaker as well. So please always check it out, the chat. So we are a bit behind schedule. So let me move on to the next session. So now let me invite Mr. Morara from Cameroon for his presentation on the digital training and performance and digital transformation in Cameroon. Over to you. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity to give you this presentation on digital performance and digital transformation in Cameroon. My name is Okha Morara. I work with the Cameroon Telecommunications, the technical department. I studied in Korea between 2019 and 2020 for 17 months, and holder of a master's degree in global ICT policies. So briefly, we are going to talk about performance and digital transformation in Cameroon. And before we get into that, we are going to see the landscape of Cameroon. Sorry, this is small area. Okay. Background of Cameroon. In my my content, the background, we are going to look about the background of Cameroon, the reasons why, reasons for applying for a Korean scholarship, and my experience. We're also going to look at my experience in Korea for 17 months. And we're going to talk about my research findings. And we're going to look about Cameroon's digital transformation. We're going to look at the key pillars of transformation, objectives of transformation, and some major achievements. Now, Cameroon, officially known as the Republic of Cameroon, is a country in West Central Africa. It is bordered by Nigeria to the west and north, Chad to the northwest, Central African Republic, and Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, and the Republic of Congo to the south. Its coastline lies on the bight of the Biafra part of the Gulf of Guinea and the Atlantic Ocean. Due to its strategic position at the crossroads between West and Central Africa, it has been categorized as being, sorry, I can't see. It is categorized, it covers a surface area of 475,000 square kilometers. And it has a population of about 25 million people, which speak about 250 native languages. So why did I choose to study in Korea? There are so many reasons that we can cite out from there. The first reason is that Cameroon have a long bilateral relationship with Korea, and a peaceful one, of course. And this relationship dates as far back as 60 years plus. It should be noted that in 2021, there was the 60-year celebration of the relationship between Cameroon and Korea, and the government participated seriously in it. And so I don't think anyone who has the opportunity to go to Korea from Cameroon will abandon it, because we have a bilateral and cordial relationship. Secondly, there's high implementation rates of ICT. The ICT Development Index in Korea is an encouragement factor. Why Cameroonians should go and study digital transformation for the transformation of the economy. So by the ITU index of 2017, Korea was second in the list of ICT implementation ratings. Again, the Global Innovation Index ratings in research and development in 2019 is also remarkable, an encouraging factor why I decided to apply to go and study ICT in Korea for the digital economy, development of digital economy in Cameroon. And again, I caught interest about the Korean story. Korea was 30 years ago. Korea was a very poor country, and Korea was actually a recipient. In that picture, you can see Busan 30 years ago, and Busan after 30 years, looking as a smart city. So all this encouragement, all of these are factors that encouraged me to go to Korea, to go and learn more on digital development for the digital economy. Talking about my experience in Korea, well, I had an experience, the cultural diversity, the food, the dressing, the language, and everything. The cultural diversity of the country was a big encouragement for me as far as experience is concerned. Imagine the first time we entered into the airport, I saw a different language, different kind of people, you know, and gradually we studied. As we studied for the 17 months, I got to start learning most of the things that are done in Korea. It should be noted that in Korea, in Busan, for example, in particular, you hardly see people that will speak English fluently. So if you have to go to the shop to buy things or buy water, you have to go and speak in Korea. You have to go, you say, 안녕하세요, say, 물 주세요, that's water. Then they'll say, 물, each honor. They will give you the amount, that is 2,000 Korean won, and then you give them 2,000 Korean won, and they will give you water. So it was quite an experience for me to see this kind of cultural diversity and language diversity. And in one of the conferences at Expo, I had an experience of global ICT policy development. And even on my 17-month stay, I had the opportunity to study, to have an experience of ICT policy development. I also had the opportunity to network with ICT stakeholders in Busan during my 17-month stay. And I had the opportunity to have an experience with a smart city in Korea. You can see it from the picture here. And then conferencing with ICT leaders around the globe, opportunity to learn diverse experiences in digital development and innovation. It was a wonderful experience getting first-hand information on ICT from ICT experts. Now, talking about my research in school, is I can see this part here. Can you bring this stuff down? Bring it down, like the upper part of it. Okay, yeah. My research work was application of human performance technology model and effects in Cameroon telecommunications. And looking about the performance improvement of system and systematic approach in improving the productivity and competence through processes to influence human behavior and accomplishments. It has been successful. HPT, human performance technology, has actually been very successful in resolving organizational issues. And that is how I caught interest in writing a thesis on human performance improvement for my organization. Through this research, I caught interest in human performance improvement As in literature review, it has proven itself to solving organizational issues and prompting a variety of business improvements, especially in traditional government-controlled organizations like the Cameroon Telecommunications, with lots of administrative gaps. The research focused on HPT processes that bridge gaps between what is and what should be in human performance systems. Therefore, there was a need to understanding the fundamentals of technology, the organizational. There was a need to understand the fundamentals of technology, the organization's understanding of it, and propose recommendations to aid policymakers on how to go about it and make decisions. So my key finding was behind this. My key finding was the reason behind the continuous disintegration of the value chain in the organization, because there is this issue of continuous integration of the value chain and the network equipments and products not being customer friendly in the company, despite the fact that it's a historic company in the country. And there was a need to get all of this done by my research, my thesis. Then we talk about Cameroon's digital transformation per the National Development Strategy of 2030. Standard and quality regulations. So some of the objectives, we have to see some key pillars of digital transformation in Cameroon. The digital transformation of 2030 as prescribed by the presidential decision on digital development by 2030. We try to examine some pillars of this transformation in Cameroon, and some of them we can look at. We look at stands from maybe the standard and quality regulations. If regulations are quite snappy and standard in nature, that means global, they are going to attract digital development. But if the regulations still remain that of post-independent regulations, we are not going to benefit anything on digital development. Again, the digital literacy and skills. Policy recommendation that the government needs policy recommendation that will support an inclusive training of Cameroonians from all walks of life to enable them acquire digital literacy skills. And the next pillar is digital infrastructure. The availability of quality and affordable internet is instrumental in bringing people and business online. I also saw that we talk about the digital platforms. We need to improve on the digital platforms in order to see a total digital transformation in our country. Another pillar is digital financial services that will have the ability to pay, save, borrow, and invest through digital means. That is making an inclusive digital financial service, which is key to increasing financial inclusion and e-commerce marketing. The digital entrepreneurship is the presence of ecosystems that support entrepreneurs, startups, and bigger companies to generate new products and services that leverage new technologies and business models, which is critical to widen and deepen the digital economic infrastructure. Indigenous content development and adoption. support for sustainable digital development, which is should be a presidential initiative. That is also a pillar in bringing about digital development. And lastly, I talked about the support for research and development. Now, looking about the objectives of Cameroon's digital transformation policies and strategy. The objectives are construction of missing links in national and regional broadband networks. It's one of the objectives. The digital financial inclusion of a good number of financial transactions. Support digital inclusion for all Cameroonian citizens. Support innovation and effective decision-making through data management. Improvement of digital economy of Cameroon, accelerating the e-government process. Some major achievements of digital transformation in Cameroon will stem out from some key legislations and events on digital transformation. So the first major achievement I looked on was establishment of an institution that support digital development. Establishment of institutions. So we have the regulatory board that regulates all telecommunication transactions. We also have, they call it in French, ART, Agence de Régulation des Télécommunications. Then we have ANTIC, Agence Nationale des Télécommunications, Information et Communication. That is an ICT agency that takes charge of all ICT issues in Cameroon. And then we have the liberalization of the telecommunication sector with the mandate to carry out digital transformation in the country. So those are the institutions that have been established I consider them as major achievements for Cameroon as far as digital transformation is concerned. The second major achievement is the extension of the National Optical Fiber Backbone Project. Presently, we have 12,000 kilometer connectivity of 209 of the 360 subdivisions of the country and neighboring countries like Chad, Equatorial Guinea, Central African Republic, and Gabon. And we have also an outcome of this extension, the deployment of fixed and mobile modern infrastructure to deepen the broadband penetration. And also another outcome from the National Optical Fiber Backbone Project is over the years, Cameroon has scored some improvement in ICT development and affordability. This is a positive indication of securing an inclusive digital environment. The third major achievement is the inauguration of the National Payment Switch Infrastructure, NPSS, by the Cameroon Postal Service, using the SSI, the USSD number #237 hashtag. This is a major achievement for financial inclusion in all financial transactions. The outcome is that the solution has already attracted 42 companies, financial companies in Cameroon, and it has guaranteed the interoperability of financial transactions. Another outcome is that the new platform shall greatly reduce financial transactions costs and shall provide a value-added electronic communication services. The third outcome is that the infrastructure, the platform, shall also facilitate public-private financial services with instant identification and location of users of mobile financial services, thus combating money laundering and the financing of terrorism. Fourth major achievement is the Digital Girls Day initiative. Cameroon, in the commemoration of the World Telecommunications Day, the World Telecommunication and Information Society Day, Cameroon, the government of Cameroon, through the Ministry of Post and Telecommunications, organized a forum on gender divide advocacy. And the outcome was magnificent. That it created awareness of the girl child on the necessity of ICT related subjects in primary and secondary schools. This has much to do with transforming digital environment and our society. The outcome promotes competition among the girls and even between the boys and the girls in ICT education and creating a pathway for digital transformation. It has also paved a career pathway for the girl child and the women in ICT, thus accelerating socioeconomic development. Another major achievement, Cameroon World Bank Forum on the importance of data management, bringing across of the digital sector, operators of the digital sector around issues related to data control in order to make effective decisions and develop innovative services. The outcome is well, I had 3 outcomes from here. One, it has created awareness on the minds of stakeholders on the importance of data management as a foundational element on socioeconomic and cultural development. It creates rooms for effective research and development, which still stands as a pillar innovation. With much natural resources, Cameroon can become an attraction to the world if her society transforms digitally and the information secured for the future. And lastly, the last major event was the Cameroon e-government project, which is an initiative of the relationship between the Cameroon and the Korean government. And we have some 3 major outcomes. The national broadband, the national broadband, which is characterized by the national backbone network and network connectivity. The partnership agreement between the government and the private operators has been reached from this. And then the acquisition of submarine broadband platforms and other digital services platforms have been realized from the e-government project, which is still in the making. In conclusion, the digital transformation of Cameroon and its citizens is imminent. The government, through the National Development Strategy 2030, has been very sensitive with the transformation of its economy into the digital one to meet up with global recommendations. Working in partnership with the Korean Republic will be comparatively advantageous, especially with the globally threatening ICT development index, with its globally threatening ICT development index coupled with the willingness to truly assist developing nations the way she was assisted a few decades ago. Thank you very much for listening. Over.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. So I think that we got the last presenter left. So I think after that presentation, we can have a very short Q&A session. So the one question to each of the presenter. So now let me invite our last speaker, Mr. Chris Odu from Nigeria. He will give us a presentation on the key outcomes of his study in digital sector through KOICA Scholarship Program and the status of a digital transformation in Nigeria. Over to you, Mr. Chris.
Okay, thank you very much, Minje. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone joining, depending on where you're actually joining from. Thank you very much, KOICA, for this platform window, which is a great way for us to share ideas and knowledge within our countries. Like the host said, this is the first time we're having such, so it's commendable. And just quickly, let me just also say it's also a great way to see friends and colleagues. I see familiar faces here. And my friend and brother from Cameroon, Mr. Okha Morara. We did not just share the academic space together. We also walked the corridors of Busan National University and also tapped from the same source of resource. We shared the same academic supervisor. So it's a great way to also see Morara here again. So I'll quickly just share my screen without wasting much time. So I'll just be giving presentation on the key outcomes of my study in the digital sector through the KOICA Scholarship Program and the status of digital transformation in Nigeria. My name is Chris from Nigeria. I studied in Busan National University. The course was ICT policy in 2019 and I graduated in 2021. So my content for this presentation, because I'll just give you a background of Nigeria, the reason for applying for the scholarship from Korea, my experience, my research and findings, Nigeria's digital achievements, and then a conclusion. So starting with the background of Nigeria, that's the map before you there. The capital is Abuja, that's the Federal Capital Territory. And also we are sharing boundaries with Mr. Okha Morara's country, which is Cameroon. If you see the graphical representation there by the left-hand side. So Nigeria, officially the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is a country in West Africa. It is geographically situated between the Sahel to the north and the Gulf of Guinea to the south in the Atlantic Ocean. It covers an area of 923,769 square kilometers, and with a population of over 211 million. It is the most populous country in Africa and was seventh most populous country. So if you did not know that previously, now you now know that. You know, before you actually go on any journey, definitely you should have a reason why you are going to your destination. So my journey for the KOICA Scholarship Program started in 2017-2018. And I wasn't successful then. However, kudos to the KOICA Nigeria office for the tremendous work they are doing. In 2019, they set up a comprehensive program which actually improved the knowledge, the know-how on applying for the scholarship program. That actually enhanced my understanding of the program and also gave me a better prepared level to apply for the next session, which was in 2019. So the reason for applying was key. There are key things that actually informed that decision. One of which was the high ICT implementation rate of Korea. The ITU, that's the UN agency for ICT, which is the International Telecommunication Union, ITU, ranked South Korea at #2 worldwide in ICT, whereas Nigeria was about 100 and something as at then. So for me, it was about getting to know what they have done that they have been able to rank that high and what needs to be done in Nigeria. So therefore, this is one thing that informed my decision. The GII high rating in research and development, that's a Global Innovation Index in 2019, ranked Korea in human capital and research, in research and development at number one, sorry. So for me, I needed to understand what they are doing in research and development. As a developing country in Nigeria, we do have, although there's a progress, but we do have some lapses when it comes to research. So for me, it was key that, okay, let me get first-hand knowledge on how to do our research. Then the next thing was a Korean story. I mean, anybody who is affiliated with Korea, anybody who has gotten an experience from Korea would understand that this is one thing you keep hearing, the Korean story. And it's something, they are very, very passionate about the story, because from aid recipients to donor, Korea's inspirational development path in 2019, Korea became the first former aid recipient to join the OECD's Development Assistance Committee. So from becoming, from a recipient, they became a donor. So it's actually something I wanted to understand what they are doing, because as developing countries, and most of the participants here would understand with me, that as a developing country, we are actually facing a lot of trials when it comes to development. So it's better for you to actually learn from those who have passed through what you are passing through and be able to improve upon yourself. So the next will just be my experience in Korea. I mean, even if we're to have a 1 month session, I think I will not exhaust my list of experiences in Korea, because there were many, but definitely due to time constraints, I'll just give you a key point. So before you there, by the left-hand side, that's me doing a presentation at the UN ITU Leaders Forum in 2019. And that presentation was on blockchain. That was alongside me was a girl from Brazil. So you can imagine the diversity of people in that room. They actually gave me the opportunity to a global network of ICT stakeholders. And currently, I am now part of the UN ITU Innovation Mentorship Group, courtesy of this program. In 2020, I was also acknowledged by the UN ITU Secretary General for my contributions towards the ITU Digital Award 2020. So due to my experience in Korea and collaboration through this event, I've been able to achieve such. And it's also been able to help for me to translate that in my country. So better understanding and importance of digital development core principles of ICT policy formulation and framework. For the development and growth of ICT in a country, you need to have a good policy that drives that sector. Policies that are data-driven, inclusive, and up to date with our current trends. This is why every policy needs to be formulated based on the context of our ecosystem. The next thing was development of research and interpersonal skills. Yes, this is a key area that taught me how technological tools can be leveraged upon to gather data for research purposes. During my research purposes, I was introduced to new technological tools on how to make quantitative and qualitative research. So that was a very good experience. The next thing was a first-hand experience of a smart city. You know, there's actually no general acceptable definition of smart city, but one of the definitions you always come across when you talk about smart cities is that it's making use of technological tools to improve life or make life easier for people. So during the COVID-19 situation, that was when I was in Korea, and we would know that after China, Korea was the next impact, the next country that was hit with COVID. However, Korea was used as a point of reference by other countries because Korea did a tremendous job in curbing the spread of COVID-19. And how did they do this? For instance, some of the things I was actually able to see was robots. Robots were now being used as people who serve in restaurants. So you make your orders through a robot attends to you, and the robot at the end brings your order to you. So this was an experience which I had not had before. So it was great to see that. And also smart homes. We know there are people living with disabilities these days, and therefore we need to include them in whatever we are doing. So it was a great way to see how people are using technology to access their home appliances and make life easier for them. So this was a very great experience for me. Down my research. My research thesis was on policy recommendation of blockchain as a disruptive technology in Nigeria's fintech industry. Blockchain, a technology that has gained momentum across the globe as a technology that can cause disruptions in the financial industry and also in the traditional centralized storage of data, have gained negative perceptions from stakeholders. This is not far from the fact that cryptocurrencies are closely linked to it. Therefore, there was a need to understand the fundamentals of the technology, the government's understanding of it, and come up with a policy recommendation to aid the policymakers on the way forward when making decisions. And it's good that through this session, I've seen that a lot of people from other countries and continents have been speaking about blockchain technology. So it's actually creating a good wave in the African continent. So this is actually something I had to do for my research. So blockchain is actually a technology that has been with us for over a decade, right from 2009. It has caused a lot of uncertainties and speculations. And during the COVID period, there was a huge boom of cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. People knew what Bitcoin was, but did not know what the technology that powered it was. And did not understand the enormous potentials of this technology itself. In 2017, the Central Bank of Nigeria, that's the Apex Bank in Nigeria, at that time issued a circular about virtual currencies or cryptocurrencies, cautioning the general public. So there was need for me to further investigate on this technology to help policymakers. And at the same time, during that period, Korea's National Assembly passed a bill which was trying to separate blockchain and virtual assets. So it was a great time for me to actually learn from Korea on what they are doing legislatively, and also embed that into my own research and studies. So I'll just give you my key findings on the Nigerian context. So my key findings. One was based on my study, there was good knowledge level of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. So for instance, you could actually meet someone or speak to someone, and definitely the person might have had a transaction with Bitcoin or done something with Bitcoin or even heard about it. But the level of understanding of the technology itself, like I said, was lacking. So there needed to be more awareness level, more sensitization about this technology. What are the potentials? For instance, you could actually use that in the healthcare sectors. You can use that in the academic sector in storage of records because of its immutability characteristics. So the next thing is readily available policies or legal frameworks. Currently, at that time, there was little or no evidence to show policies which have promoted the integration of this technology with legacy systems. And even currently, we are still, like I said, it's always a work in progress for developing countries. So we're still working towards that, coming up with a legislative framework that can govern the Bitcoin, or what if you want to say the blockchain technology itself. And Korea has done that, which was a great experience. I actually recommended what Korea did in my thesis. So we could actually take an example and clue from that. The next thing of my findings was the blockchain experts. We not having enough technological experts in the area of blockchain that can utilize features such as smart contracts was also a problem. This is not also too different from developed countries who are presently onboarding more experts in that area, in that field. So we need to onboard more people. I think Africa and also Nigeria, we need to improve on expertise when it comes to blockchain. And also it's a good thing that Nigeria has also issued an e-Naira. E-Naira is also built on the blockchain system. That's a good headway we've actually made when it comes to that aspect. And coincidentally too, let me just give this little announcement. My paper on blockchain just got accepted by an international journal and is currently published this month. So at the end of this presentation, I'll share that for also get ourselves acquainted with what is going on around us. So quickly, the Nigeria's economy, digital transformation, just like the UN set a target by 2030 for the Sustainable Development Goals. We also, as a country, have set a target from 2020 to 2030. It is anchored on 8 pillars to accelerate the development of ICT. So I'll quickly just talk about the 8 pillars. And the first one is the developmental regulation, effective regulation of the ICT and digital sector in a way that enables development, digital literacy and skills, providing policy backing for massive training of Nigerians from all walks of life in order to enable them obtain digital literacy and other digital skills this pillar will also facilitate the training of Nigerians. So for instance, I don't think there's anybody that would disagree with me that COVID-19 shocked everyone, even developed countries. We saw the role ICT played when it comes to using technological tools to actually communicate with people. So therefore, we are now at a time where digital literacy is key. There's a need for digital literacy at all levels, go down even down to the grassroots. So it's important that we improve our digital literacy skills level. So for solid infrastructure, deployment of fixed and mobile infrastructure to deepen the broadband penetration in the country, service infrastructure, support for government digital services, and the provision of robust digital platforms to drive the digital economy. The fifth is digital services, development and promotion, development of a vibrant digital ecosystem that supports innovation-driven enterprises and micro, small, and medium enterprises in a way that engenders innovation. We've understood that the government cannot do it all. The private sectors, the small businesses need to come on board. Therefore, we need to actually give them enabling environment for them to also strive and contribute to our GDP growth. Soft infrastructure, strengthening public confidence in the use of digital technologies and participation in the digital economy. Digital society and emerging technologies, focus on typing the development of the digital economy to indices of well-being in the lives of the ordinary citizens, mentoring startups and emerging technologies and deploying their solutions. Like I said, as a mentor, a certified mentor, that I also come in here where I give my expertise on startups, the kind of tools they need to use, the kind of tools they need to leverage on when it comes to using ICT to help their startups. So that's actually a key thing that we're actually doing. Indigenous content development and adoption, provision of policy framework that gives preference to digitally skilled Nigerians for government-funded projects in line with the Executive Orders 003 and 005 for the administration of President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR. That's Grand Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Some objectives of the digital economy policy and strategy is target 70% broadband penetration in 4 years to accelerate the digitalization of government processes and improve service delivery, to improve trust, confidence, and security around digital processes and activities. These days, one of the key things is that we actually are low on trust with government agencies. I think not just in the Nigerian context, but across the globe, or let me say developing countries. So we need to improve trust on what government is doing and confidence. So that's one of the objectives that the government is actually trying to achieve. To attract and grow digital jobs across all sectors of the economy, to develop the technology startup ecosystem by actively promoting innovation and entrepreneurship, to support the digital literacy of Nigerian citizens, businesses, and government workers, and enable them to acquire cutting-edge digital skills. To achieve a 95% digital literacy level in Nigeria within the next 10 years. Like I said, we have set that from 2020 to 2030, we should be able to achieve that. So Nigeria's digital economy achievements, there are actually many, but like I said, due to time constraints, we'll just go through a few. The launch of a national policy on 5G network. Nigeria has also become one of the earliest adopters of the 5G network within Africa. And Korea was one of them across the world. So most times, like I said, we always want to follow Korea and do what they're actually doing, learn from them, and see how we can improve upon what we have. So the implementation of this policy aims to support the development of the Nigerian economy, such as enhancing connectivity, improving healthcare, and fostering smart cities. The 5G network is a network that actually helps when it comes to latency, and it's going to help when we're talking about AI and even in the medical field. We're now talking of robots doing open surgeries, so definitely 5G networks is actually going to be used to enable that. Also to create an enabling environment for investment in the telecom sector, to create an enabling environment also for innovation, digital entrepreneurship, and better protection of data. The 5G network definitely, when it comes to data protection, you can actually guarantee that, yes, it's a step higher than the fourth generation network, which is the 4G. The next thing is the Digital Girls Initiative. The Digital Girls Club is the first technology education initiative aimed at closing the gender digital divide that has been spearheaded. That is actually being spearheaded by the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy of the federal government under the leadership of Professor Issa Pantami. That would actually it's actually going to provide or has provided hands-on technology education for Nigerian girls in secondary schools through weekly workshops to nurture interest in ICT among girls, promoting a competitive digital environment with girls and their peers. One of the things about the UN SDGs is talking about gender equality. So we would need more women in the technological space. That's one of the things ITU actually said this year at the WSIS is about closing the gender divide. So definitely Nigeria has actually put into that theme, and actually that's what we are doing. Created an enabling environment and career path for girls and women into the technological sector. But the next thing is establishment of NITDA, that's National Information Technology Development Agency, Information Technology Hubs, to create a means of stronger bond between government and the academia and the private sector by focusing on the development of local talent through research and business ideation. The second thing is to create a local supply for the IT sector to meet the increasing demand for IT goods and services from both the public and private sectors. The third is to create self-sustaining ecosystems that will expedite the development of an indigenous IT industry and help Nigeria transform herself into a knowledge-based society. Like I said earlier, COVID-19 showed the essence for digital skills. Therefore, these hubs will drive that knowledge acquisition across the country. The fourth is actually the IT Project Clearance Initiative, that's ITPC. The National Information and Technology Development Agency, that's NIDA, has been mandated to clear all IT projects in line with the policy objectives of the federal government to maximize transparency, accountability in carrying out IT projects by public institutions. The outcome of this is going to ensuring that the technology and services being procured are suitable for the country from the point of view of security and environment. Promotion of indigenous content and preference of indigenous companies' capacity utilization. The third is removal of IT projects replication. We have seen that over the years, IT projects have been replicated, and therefore high cost of governance is actually there. So this time around, it has actually saved the federal government over 11.8 million USD. So this project is actually going to cut the cost of governance in the area of procurement of IT projects and services. And the Nigerian e-government master plan, the Federal Ministry of Communications developed the Nigerian e-government master plan through research, collaboration, and extensive engagement with other relevant stakeholders with the support from KOICA. Like I said, Korea has always been like a big brother to us and a friend. We've always partnered with them in whatever we are doing. Like I said, Korea has a storyline that most developing countries are actually experiencing currently. So we try to see how we could learn from them what they have done and how best we can improve ourselves. Reduced, so the outcomes of this e-government master plan, reduced governance costs, putting services on online substantially decrease the processing cost of many activities compared with the manual way of handling things. So we've gone what I call, digitally. So most of our services, government services is now e. So even if you want to apply for a visa from any country, you could actually do that from wherever you are. Most of our ministries are now operating digitally. We saw that how that played out during the COVID-19 period. The Federal Executive Council was actually operating remotely too. So these are actually been able to enhance that. Improve public administration, e-government administrative components such as a computerized treasury, integrated financial management systems, and human resource management systems. Improve service delivery, e-government reduces bureaucracy and enhances the quality of services in terms of content and accessibility. So kudos for KOICA for their continuous support for us to actually develop this. So in conclusion, Nigeria remains resolute on its mandate to create an inclusive digital economy with a vision to create a robust digital economy that enhances security, increases transparency, and diversifies the Nigerian economy, not just from being an oil-producing nation, by leveraging digital technologies and meaningful collaboration. Technology is key to sustainable development. Korea is a good example of this. Therefore, our continuous partnership with the Republic of Korea remains pivotal to our digital development journey and in achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Samida. You can actually find me on LinkedIn. Let's keep this conversation. Let's keep these discussions and networking going. You can actually use the QR code on your screen, QR code on your screen to actually do a scan and connect with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. I want to also say congratulations on your achievement to publishing your journal soon. That was great.
Thank
the
you.
session, like it has been such a great session and a useful session. I greatly appreciate the presentation the KOICA Alumni member gave us. There was nothing short of the incredibly informative and interesting to everyone.
Instead of question, I just want to add I have a suggestion. If you can please, in future, if you can please arrange any like this kind of activity, right? On the country base, in any country, through physical like appearance, we can come all together and get seat and have this kind of. It's very beautiful like meeting today. But I want to suggest we should have a physical meeting instead of a Zoom meeting.
Okay, Shafiq, I'm sorry, like it doesn't very clear, so I didn't get you 100%. But what you're saying is it good to share some the material? Is that like you want to have a physical meeting next time? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. And the first one, the second, if you can please share the presentation of other participants in on our email address or on our like any WhatsApp or like any media, so we can learn from the different countries.
So I have a preposition to your to this. So what we can do, I will discuss with KOICA other KOICA offices, and then we're going to put the link. You can download presentation on the Facebook post. So after this session, and then we're going to also upload, like post the recording on the Facebook or social media. So you can go and check and the link, and then you can download the presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you. One more thing, last one. If you can please share the list of all the participants with their contact numbers, email, country name, so we can communicate with each other directly to exchange our ideas, to discuss something. If this is just an idea.
Okay, I think honestly, like this is like what we're targeting. Our audience group is quite broad, so we don't know like who they are exactly. So I think my suggestion, my proposal, we can share the the presenters in email address, so you can reach out to the presenter, and then you can also develop your own platform, and then you can connect to each other from there. Thank you.
I have a compliment. Thank you so much for arranging this beautiful session, and I really thank you and for your efforts and for your commitment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jacob, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for this wonderful presentation, for particularly those from Cameroon and Nigeria. I am Jacob calling from Cameroon. I was just wanted to ask a simple worry. I heard both presentations, but what I felt was lacking was the difficulties. They presented much of what is being done, but they didn't present the difficulties these two countries are facing with respect to digitalization. I don't know if the presenters can briefly say something on that.
Okay, any presenter want to address this question, please?
Okay, I could. Let me just share a bit on that. Thank you very much for your question. For me, like I said earlier, most of the developing countries, we usually share a lot of similarities when it comes to issues we're having. For instance, in the presentation I made, based on my study, because for you to actually come up with problems, definitely you need to find out that if those problems are actually existing. So it was actually be data-driven. Some of the problems, like I said, was expertise in, for instance, the presentation I made was on blockchain. I did mention that experts in that field need to come on board. I also said more frameworks need to be developed when it comes to policies. And policies, not just carrying a policy from, for instance, you carry from Korea and just come in and fix it in any country. It could be Ghana, it could be Cameroon, it could be Nigeria, but you need to actually fine-tune it. So that's where we need to improve upon. Policies need to be fine-tuned based on the context of your own region. The other problems, for instance, we could also talk about digital literacy level. Like I said, not all countries actually are up to pace when it comes to digital literacy. So that's one of the things we as a country, Nigeria, we're actually doing to see that we meet up with that, because COVID-19 actually highlighted that definitely we need to do a lot when it comes to digital literacy. I mean, people were locked down in their homes, families could not communicate, but definitely tools were being used, technological tools, ICT tools. So a lot of people need to come on board. The next thing is, like I said, gender divide. More women actually need to be brought on board. We actually having a percentage of, I can actually authoritatively say more than 70% of the males dominating the IT sector. So it actually has to be balanced a bit. More women actually need to be brought on. That's why we have come up with initiatives to actually say that, okay, women have to have a role to play in the sector. Like they always say, once you give a woman a role, she multiplies it. So definitely they need to come on board and actually help this sector. So that's what I can share for you for now. Other speakers can also share their thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be talking on behalf of Cameroon, Jacob. From my presentation, because of 10 minutes that was given to me for the presentation, it was expedient for me to leverage on government actions, policy recommendations. And as soon as you see maybe policy recommendations made by government or key events launched by government, you will quickly and clearly understand that there is a gap in that area of digital innovation, or digital divide. So you have to understand the time constraints too matter so much in our presentation, and most of the times I came up with giving you actions by government, and if government is taking an action, it makes it clear that there is a problem in that sector that must be developed. For example, if the government of Cameroon in June 22nd commemorated the ICT Day by using the theme women in ICT, it's clear to understand that maybe the women are lagging in that area and they need to be encouraged, in ICT education and participation in development in ICT. And then talking about the key findings I made in South Korea myself on human performance development in my company, Camtel. You see that I talked, if you followed my presentation clearly, I talked about the gap that is actually existing in Camtel as a mother company in telecommunications and ICT, but they are not leveraging enormously in turnover. And I think that gap too can be explicit by seeing as part of difficulties that the organization is actually facing in meeting up with the expectations of the customers. Over.
Okay, thank you. I hope like that two of the presenter answered to your question enough. And then now I think we only accept the last question from Uche. Sorry for the rest of you raise your hand due to the time constraint. Sorry about that. Mr. Uche, can you also introduce yourself and then just ask your question, also tell like who you're asking to? Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone, and then good afternoon once again. I'm Uche Goste Owele from Abuja here. Yes. Thank you very much. I must commend the presenter, their wisdom and experiences, and I must commend KOICA for giving us the privilege to be part of it. The quick one would just be maybe a question or a kind of recommendation for Fama Dia from Senegal. My question is, your applications that have been generated, is it just to generate data, like you mentioned, the Start Educ and the FinPonic? Who monitors all of these? Is it integrated into your Ministry of Education, or it is a general thing? That would just be what I want you to clarify. Then for Bua in Cameroon, my question is, has this digital transformation strategies you mentioned, so many of it, has it been included in your educational policy for Cameroon? If not, I think there should be some efforts in doing so, because the education, if you look at South Korea, they were able to achieve that height because of a lot of investments they did into their educational system. The best way to transform the education is to transform the education system. So I will recommend that. Then finally, for Chris, my brother, I think we're going to keep touch, but I have two questions. You talked about the developing this digital blockchain technology. How can this be used to also improve our educational system? And finally, I was looking at education tech, edutech in the nation. Our teachers are really backward in this regard. How can we start having startups to develop a blockchain for educational technology to also improve? You draw the lesson from COVID-19. Our education was almost completely shut down. So we need to come with some startups that can develop programs, maybe individually or private sector, to support the efforts of the government. Thank you.
Thank you, Uche. I didn't expect so many questions and the recommendations. So, okay, no worries. I think that we can start with Fama Dia. Would you like to respond to him? Thank you.
I would like to thank to Owele for his participation and for the question too. I think for the integration of this application from in the Ministry of National Education in Senegal, as most of KOICA alumni back to the country over these past 2 years are pursued in the different directions of the Ministry of Education, we have the opportunity to talk to those peoples, and they help a lot also with our advice. They take into consideration of our advice. Most of KOICA alumni who study in different university in Korea implement, I think, most of the application. They give advice. Hello. I said, Mr. Owele, over the past 2 years that almost many KOICA alumni in Senegal was posted back to the country. They were posted in the different ministry, especially the Ministry of National Education in Senegal. We have the opportunity to give advice or to talk to those people, and they are trying slowly to implement our proposal for the advancement of the digitalization in Senegal too. And we are doing best on that area. I would like also to mention on what the presenter from Nigeria had mentioned about Digital Girls Club. This also, I think we are on the way to initiate these things in different secondary schools in Senegal, so that, as we have noticed also, a low number of girls in S streams, which is science stream, we are on the way to initiate that, because I had already written the plan to my director as a gender and development expert. Also, I'm on the way to implement that club also. I would like also to thank Nigerian's government on that initiative. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. And also Mr. Bao to respond to the recommendation from Uche.
Yeah, thank you, Uche, for your recommendations. But I want to let you know that the government of Cameroon is not only interested in maybe formal education, for which they have actually invested much in developing ICT to the children, to the people, to the students that will take over the country in the future. But also, informally, the government is also encouraging individual indigenous content development in ICT, and each time there is always an award that is earmarked for best startups, the best presentations from individuals in the private sector too. And I think the government is doing much to having the resources, the human resources in ICT in the country, apart from maybe sending some to Korea to go and learn more. And recently the government had to install ICT infrastructures in universities. I think KOICA Cameroon is very much aware about that, and the government is actually doing much to bring in ICT very close to the people, to the indigenous people in the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Last, Chris, please kindly keep it short. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, my brother Uche Wele. I can see you actually in transit, but you had time to join us, so it's a great thing. And I like your question: how can a blockchain actually help in the academia sector, the education sector? First of all, there must be a legal framework that will allow the growth of blockchain technology. Yeah, because you actually do not just make policies or frameworks. There must actually be enough data says, okay, there's need for this particular thing. So currently, I think the government is actually working. Like I always say, everything is always a work in progress. There's actually work currently being done on that. More research should be put in that area, because definitely the technology has a huge potential, not just in cryptocurrencies, but when it comes to transparency, immutability, and decentralization of data, there's actually a huge role which that technology can actually be implemented when it comes to the academic sector. So definitely, it's actually something that is currently being worked on. Usually, the government, they will actually finalize, fine-tune things before it actually comes to the public domain. But it's actually something that we buy into as a government, as a country, because you can see, for instance, the e-Naira. So definitely, the central bank has come up with that. They have actually tried that, and they've actually been seeing the results, which they have taken into consideration. So it's actually something that another sector, for instance, like you said, the academic sector would also say, okay, let's see how we could actually try this technology. But definitely, before you actually do any work on that, there need to be much data before you actually make an informed decision or move like that. I hope that helps you with your question. Thank you once again for the question.
Thank you very much. Uche, thank you for the question and the recommendation. I think now we have to move on to the last session. We're going to watch the video clip for the World Expo 2030 Busan.
It's like a dream on the sky, but it's real in my sight. I see we're in the city of wonder. Dream up under the sun, riding high, follow the bright, guiding light. Come join us for a little ride. There's magic in the air tonight.
Okay, so let me move on to the very last session, our closing remarks. So I would like to invite Madame Fatima Cisse, the president of KOICA Alumni Association Senegal, for the closing remarks. So she will give us the closing remarks in French. Also, Ms.Fama, she will help interpret the French closing remarks. Thank you. Over to you.
So my name is Fatima Cisse. I am the president of Senegalese former trainers and students in South Korea, Alasco in French. I'm very glad to participate to this important webinar because of the interesting subject developed here by Senegalese, Pakistanis, Cameroon and Nigerian alumni. Digital transformation manages the world today, and South Korea system is a great example in this field of ICT. These presentations let know us that third world countries do many efforts to update our system by copying Korean models. That's why, by the way, we have good results of our own systems in ICT fields nowadays. So warmest congratulations to all the presentations, all the presentators and participants over the world. A lot of thanks to Korean International Cooperation Agency, KOICA, that arranged this great event. Thank you to you all. Kamsahamnida.
Okay, when you drop, when you are.
Thank you very much, Madame Fatima. Like, I thought that you're going to give us a remarks in French. I was looking forward to hearing French, but that was good. Thank you, Madame Fatima. You want to say something like in French?
Oui, pourquoi pas. Voilà, donc je suis Fama Cisse. Je suis la présidente de l'Alumni des anciens stagiaires sénégalais en Corée du Sud, à l'ASCO. Donc, je suis très heureuse d'être là aujourd'hui pour assister à cette importante rencontre, à ce webinaire. Et je m'excuse de ne pas pouvoir montrer mon visage parce que ma caméra ne marche pas. Je m'en excuse vivement et je remercie l'ensemble des présentateurs, notamment notre collègue Famadia, la brillante Famadia, donc diplômée en master à l'Université des femmes d'Iwa, en Corée du Sud, et tous les autres présentateurs du Cameroun, du Pakistan, du Nigeria. Voilà, je pense que je n'ai pas oublié quelqu'un. Donc, la transformation digitale est très importante aujourd'hui. Elle est incontournable. Et je pense que la Corée du Sud est un modèle sur lequel donc, tous nos pays doivent s'inspirer pour améliorer nos systèmes administratifs et nos services administratifs. Et je pense que ce travail-là est en train d'être fait. Et nous avons, en voyant ces brillantes présentations, nous avons appris que l'Afrique n'est pas en reste, le tiers-monde n'est pas en reste, le Pakistan n'est pas en reste. Et nous nous battons pour que nos systèmes soient donc dans le sens des ICT. Voilà, donc je remercie l'ensemble des participants, l'ensemble des présentateurs. Je remercie également la KOICA, la coopération coréenne, qui est à l'origine de cette importante rencontre. Merci à vous tous. Voilà, Kamsamida.
Thank you, Fatima, for your kind word. I could understand some of them. Thank you. I just want to say thank you to everyone for your participation. We had a great time, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you again in the next webinar next year. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you for joining us today again. Thank you.